Welcome to Bone to Be Friendly Orthopedics Chat, the podcast where you can sit back, relax, and listen to interesting bone and joint topics curated by an expert and delivered with an AI-powered realistic conversational format. Join us as we explore common questions and interesting topics in orthopedics.
Welcome back, everyone. This is episode 2, and following our initial chat last time, we're going to get deeper into the very framework that supports you every single day. Your bones.
That's right. You know, you shared some points that really got me thinking, and, well, it's a perfect time to really unpack the fascinating world of osseous tissue.
Absolutely. And it's easy to just picture, dry skeletons, right? But that image is just completely wrong.
It really is. Forget that static picture. What if people knew their bones were dynamic, living organs? They have multiple crucial roles, way beyond just simple support.
We're definitely going to explore those vital functions today. Okay, let's unpack this then, starting with the big picture. Living framework. It's so much more than just holding us upright, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, providing the body scaffolding, giving us shape, resisting gravity, that's fundamental. Sure, it's the basic structure, like the frame of a house.
But that's just the start.
Just the start. The functions go way beyond that.
Right. And one of the first things that comes to mind for me is, protection. Our bones are like built-in armor for some really important organs.
Exactly. You've got the skull, this really robust case for the delicate brain. You can't get much more vital than that.
Definitely not.
And then the rib cage, forming that protective barrier around the heart and lungs. And, of course, the vertebral column safeguarding the spinal cord.
Which is crucial for, everything nerve-related. It's such an elegant system, really. Built-in defense.
It is. Elegant and effective.
And then there's movement.
Yeah.
It's easy to forget how fundamental bones are for just walking, grabbing things, everything.
Yeah, we take it for granted. Bones act as levers, muscles attached to them via tendons, and when those muscles contract, they pull on the bones.
Creating movement at the joints.
Exactly. Without that whole lever system, our muscles just couldn't generate the force we need for, getting around or picking things up.
Now, this next one was really interesting to me when we first talked about it. Mineral storage. I mean, I knew bones had calcium, but I didn't really grasp their role as a reservoir.
It's a truly vital role. Bones are the main storage place for calcium and phosphorus. These are essential minerals for tons of processes. Nerve function, muscle contraction, cell signaling, you name it.
So the body can actually dip into that supply when it needs it.
That's exactly it. It can draw upon these mineral reserves to keep the right balance in the bloodstream. This constant give and take really shows how bone health impacts, almost everything. Nerve signals, muscle power. It's a whole regulatory system.
Wow, so it's not just a locked box. It's more like an active bank account the body uses.
Precisely. A dynamic exchange. And it works both ways. Minerals can be put back into the bones when there's extra in the bloodstream. It's crucial for overall health.
Fascinating. And finally, the one I always find amazing, blood cell production. Hematopoiesis, right?
That's the term, yes, hematopoiesis.
It's just incredible to think that inside these seemingly solid things, that whole process is happening constantly. Can you tell us a bit more about that?
Certainly. So inside the bone marrow, which fills up the inner cavities of many bones, that's where hematopoiesis happens. It's the production line for all our blood cells. Red blood cells for oxygen, white blood cells for the immune system, and platelets for blood clotting. It's absolutely essential for life.
Okay, let's get into the nitty-gritty then. What are they actually made of? You use that reinforced concrete analogy.
Right. Let's break it down. Think of the main ingredients. You've got the inorganic minerals. That's the biggest part, maybe 60 to 65%.
Okay.
And the main player there is calcium hydroxyapatite crystals. These tiny, hard, sort of rock-like structures give bone its incredible hardness and rigidity. They let it withstand compressive forces. That's the concrete part of our analogy.
That's the strength, the weight-bearing part.
Exactly. But if bone was only made of that, it'd be super brittle, like chalk. It would just shatter. So that's where the organic matrix comes in. That's about 30 to 35%. And the star here is
Type 1.
Collagen fibers. These fibers provide flexibility and what we call tensile strength. That's resistance to pulling forces. They also help the bone absorb energy, making it less likely to fracture under impact or stress.
So thinking about that, if someone had, say, a collagen deficiency, could their bones be more fragile, even if the mineral part was okay?
Absolutely. That's a great point. A lack of good quality collagen could definitely lead to increased fragility, even with decent mineral density. It's this amazing interplay, the hard, rigid minerals and the flexible, tough collagen that makes bones so remarkable.
That combination really is genius. Strong, but not brittle.
Exactly. And we can't forget water. Makes up maybe 10%. It contributes to the tissue properties and, keeps the cells happy and functioning within the bone.
So it's this specific recipe: minerals, collagen, water. Okay, now you mentioned the key players, the cells with the nicknames.
The workforce, yes. They're responsible for building, maintaining, and remodeling bone constantly.
Right.
So first up, the osteoblasts. Think B for builders.
Okay, builders.
Their main job is to synthesize the new organic matrix, the collagen and other proteins, and then they kickstart the mineralization process, laying down those calcium crystals.
So they're constantly laying down new bone material, like construction workers on site.
Pretty much. Then you have the osteoclasts. Think C for chewers or crushers. These are large cells that break down old or damaged bone tissue. It's a process called resorption. And doing this releases minerals like calcium back into the bloodstream if needed.
So it's this constant balancing act. Builders putting stuff down, demolishers taking stuff away.
Exactly, a constant balancing act. And that balance is absolutely critical for healthy bone remodeling.
What happens if that balance gets thrown off? Are there common issues?
Oh, definitely. An imbalance is often the root of bone problems, like osteoporosis. That's where bone breakdown by the osteoclasts outpaces bone formation by the osteoblasts. The result is weaker, more porous bones that fracture easily.
Okay, that makes sense.
And conversely, though it's less common, you can have conditions where there's too much bone formation.
So builders, demolishers. Is there another type?
Yes, the third main type, osteocytes. These are actually mature osteoblasts that have become trapped within the bone matrix they themselves created.
Trapped. So what do they do then?
They become sensors. They act as mechanical stress sensors. They feel the strain and load on the bone. And crucially, they communicate with both the osteoblasts and osteoclasts to regulate that remodeling process.
So like if I lift something heavy, the osteocytes feel that strain.
Exactly. They sense that load and they send signals saying, hey, we need reinforcement here. They tell the osteoblast to build more bone in that area or maybe tell the osteoclast to ease off nearby. It's like an internal quality control system that responds to how you use your bones.
So they're kind of the supervisors or the maintenance crew monitoring everything.
That's a really good way to put it. Sensing the stresses, signaling when repairs or adjustments are needed, it keeps the bone adapted to the demands placed on it.
This whole process is just, so much more dynamic than I ever pictured. Okay, so building on the components and the workforce, how is it all put together? The architecture you mentioned.
Right, the large-scale structure. Bone isn't just a solid block. It has distinct layers to optimize that strength-to-weight ratio.
Makes sense.
So the outermost layer is the cortex, also called cortical bone or compact bone. This is the really dense, hard, smooth layer. It forms the shaft of long bones and the outer shell of all bones. It provides most of the bone's strength and rigidity.
Okay, so that's the tough outer part we usually imagine.
That's the one. But inside that hard shell, especially at the ends of long bones and also within flat or irregular bones, you find cancellous bone, also known as spongy bone or trabecular bone.
Spongy.
Yeah, it has this porous kind of honeycomb-like structure. It's made up of these little interconnected struts and plates called trabeculae.
So it literally looks like a sponge inside.
It does. And while it's much lighter than the dense cortical bone because of all those spaces, it's still surprisingly strong and provides excellent support. And those trabeculae, they aren't random. They actually align themselves along the lines of stress that the bone typically experiences.
Wow, optimizing strength again.
Exactly. And the spaces within that spongy network, that's where the bone marrow lives.
Ah, okay, so that's where the hematopoiesis, the blood cell production happens.
Yeah.
In that inner spongy layer.
Precisely. Bone marrow, that soft tissue, resides in those cancellous bone cavities and also in the central canals of long bones. And like we said, red marrow does the blood cell making, while yellow marrow is mostly fat storage.
It's just amazing how these layers work together. The dense outer part for sheer strength, the lighter, strong inner mesh holding the vital marrow. Brilliant design.
It really is.
Now, okay, bones obviously come in all sorts of shapes and sizes. Does the shape tell us something about what the bone does?
Absolutely. Form follows function is a key principle in the skeletal system. We usually classify bones into about 5 main types based on shape, and that shape nearly always reflects the job it does.
Okay, what are they?
First, you've got long bones, Pretty obvious name, their length is greater than their width. They typically have a shaft, the diaphysis, and two ends, the epiphyses. Think levers for movement.
Like the femur. Humerus.
Exactly. Femur in the thigh, humerus in the upper arm, tibia and fibula in the lower leg. Classic long bones.
Right. So longer than wide usually means involved in bigger movements.
Generally, yes.
Yeah.
Then you have short bones. These are roughly cube-shaped. Their main job is stability and support with more limited movement. Think of the little bones in your wrist, the carpals, and your ankle, the tarsals.
Okay, so stability over range of motion for those.
Exactly. Next up, flat bones. These are thin, usually flattened, sometimes a bit curved. They often serve protective functions or provide big surface areas for muscles to attach to. Bones of the skull, definitely. Ribs, the sternum or breastbone, and the scapula or shoulder blades. They act like protective plates or broad anchors for muscles.
Makes sense. What's next?
Sesamoid bones. These are interesting. They're small, often roundish bones that are actually embedded within tendons, typically where a tendon passes over a joint.
Inside a tendon. Why?
They help protect the tendon from wear and tear, and they can also improve the mechanics of the joint, kind of like a pulley, improving the leverage of the muscle. The biggest example everyone knows is the patella, the kneecap.
Ah, the kneecap. Okay, so they act like little pulleys.
Cool.
Yeah.
It's a good analogy. And finally, we have irregular bones. Basically, anything that doesn't neatly fit the other categories. They have complex shapes.
Like what?
The vertebrae making up your spine are a prime example. Also, some of the facial bones. Their unique shapes are often related to specific functions like protection again, or providing lots of attachment points for different muscles.
It's really fascinating how each bone's shape is just so perfectly suited for what it needs to do. Really speaks to the incredible design of the body.
It truly does. The efficiency and elegance are remarkable when you start looking closely.
So, yeah, as everyone can probably tell by now, your bones are constantly working, adapting, contributing in ways you might not have even considered.
And thinking about that constant balance we mentioned between the bone builders and the demolishers, it really makes you consider the implications for health throughout life, doesn't it? Especially as we age, and that balance can naturally shift.
Absolutely. And the intricate composition, the architecture, it just highlights this remarkable efficiency and adaptability of our framework. Makes you wonder what other seemingly simple structures inside us hold such complex secrets.
It's a great question, and it's what keeps driving scientific inquiry, constantly revealing just how elegant biological systems really are.
Well, this has been another really fascinating exploration into how our bodies work. Stay tuned for the next episode.